So Neil Harris today has left Millwall Football Club, the first time we've been left managerless in 4.5 years. And I think it's important to reflect on what Neil Harris has done for Millwall Football Club in those 4.5 years. He took us over when we was on our knees after we sacked Ian Holloway. He restored pride to that team and he gave us a bit of hope just when we thought it all died off. It did end in relegation, but he deservedly got the job. And we was all backing him to do well once he was in that job. And, you know, first season playoff final, and then obviously the promotions, the 2 FA Cup quarter-finals, you know, Tottenham away, that's a day most Millwall fans won't forget in a while. 8th place in the Championship in the first season back. For a club like Millwall, it really was a great achievement, but you've potentially now got to look at where it went wrong for Neil Harris. And I think that a big turning point for him was the sale of George Saville to Middlesbrough. Obviously, £7 million for a Championship midfielder is a lot, and we have struggled to replace him. Ryan Leonard was bought as his replacement, and he's even admitted he's not the same type of player, and you can definitely see that more recently as Leonard. He's on a good run of form now, playing in a slightly deeper role, doing all the dirty work in the defensive midfield. But George Saville was an attacking-minded player, he wanted to get forward, and when you take 12 goals from a centre midfielder who's playing in the Championship, that's a lot to replace, and I think that that's where it began to potentially unravel for Neil Harris. Obviously, we weren't expecting to finish 8th again in the season last season, but 21st was disappointing even by our standards. Potentially we had set the bar a bit high, but I think that we had the right to think we was going to finish slightly higher than we did. So it's sad to see him go, but I think we have to be grateful to what he's done, and as well, I think stepping down rather than being sacked, although we don't really know. Maybe it was a case of, if you don't walk, we're going to sack you. So we'll never really know what happened there. But now we've got to start looking forward towards the future. We've got to start looking for managers. There's no actual odds out at the minute. One person that I potentially like to see in with a shout at the job is Gareth Ainsworth at Wycombe. He's done superb there. He's worked on a tight budget for a number of years. He's got them promoted out of League Two. He's kept them up in League One last season as well, especially when they weren't fancied to do so, and then they are flying so far in League One this season. Other managers potentially with Championship experience are Nigel Adkins, who did well at Hull City last season, guided them to 13th. They were stuck in a relegation battle for a bit. And he had players like Jarrod Bowen and Kamil Grosicki, who've obviously done well. And obviously we have Jed Wallace and Conor Mahoney, two very sort of similar players. So if them two could hit the ground running just like them two, should Adkins get the job, I think that we would be fine this season. I think potentially another person that'd be interested as well is Darren Moore, currently at Doncaster now, was at West Brom last season, but the financial difficulties mean that could be a difficult deal to pull off, although if he's only at Doncaster, it might not be too bad. Our budget does potentially rule out people like Chris Hughton and Alan Pardew, although I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. But now it's a time for Millwall Football Club to look forward to the future and embrace what it holds. You know, I think that it was starting to turn a bit hostile down there, but I'll be there Saturday. Most of us will be. It's more or less a sellout, so it's important that we get behind the team. It's important that we get behind Adam Barrett as well, and I think that I trust the board, especially now we have more financial backing. I trust the board to make the right appointment for Millwall Football Club moving forward. And I think that as long as we stay up this season, I think if we stay up and play some decent football, I think that we can start to push on in the Championship and solidify ourselves as a Championship club, rather than becoming this sort of yo-yo club that we have become. But it's sad to see a legacy end with Neil Harris leaving, but the time was right.